Funding for public education is leading to disagreements at the Missouri State Capitol. As lawmakers work out the state budget, the two chambers have different ideas on how much to fund public schools. WGEM Missouri Capitol Bureau reporter Hannah Falcon explains what is next for the state budget.
As lawmakers leave Jefferson City Thursday, time is running short for them to complete a state budget. When they return Monday, there will be just 5 days for them to decide how to allocate nearly $50 billion to keep the state running.
This is just the next step in the process.
This week, the Missouri Senate approved their version of the budget, but it was wildly different from both the House's version and the governor's requests. Governor Mike Kehoe proposed a budget that was $300 million short on the public education funding formula, which is a plan that calculates how much public schools need to operate. He proposed this back in January because he says public schools are underperforming. Kehoe said he doesn't want to throw money at a problem. Instead, he proposed $50 million go toward a private school scholarship program so that some Missourians could choose to send their kids to private school on the state's dime. The Missouri Senate completely flipped this plan, putting in the $300 million for public schools and removing the money for private school scholarships.
If we're going to pass legislation and we know it has a cost associated with it, I want to make sure that we're paying the bill when it comes due.
While the Senate's version of the budget is popular with the minority party,
I thought it was a very good budget.
It could cause rifts with House leadership that cut several educational items to save money.
That was a concern as it relates to the sustainability, which is why we didn't move forward at this time.
The budget is not done yet. Lawmakers from both chambers will meet next week to work out their differences. Writing a balanced budget is the only thing the General Assembly is constitutionally required to do every year, and they're required to finish it by 6 p.m. next Friday. Reporting in Jefferson City, I'm Hannah Falcon, WGEM News.